It's going to be amazing. Yes. It's going to be amazing.
That's probably enough drinks for tonight.
That's so cool. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing.
That's probably enough drinks for tonight.
That's so cool.
It's okay. It's okay.
That's so cool.
That's probably enough drinks for tonight.
That's so cool.
It's okay.
It's going to be amazing.
It's okay.
Yes. That's so cool.
That's probably enough drinks for tonight.
Hi guys, I welcome you to our monthly developers meetup, which we held here in Perkona. And today there are Evgeny Pedlin, it's me, and Andrew Minkin, who is our senior backend developer. And today we will talk about how do we develop code, because Percona is well known about its open source products in databases, and these products help a lot of people to solve their issues, to store their data, and so on. But everywhere in open source, and not only in open source, we need to write code to get the value. And today we will shed some light on the process, how we develop the code. And I know that it's interesting, and not only me, because together is my cat. He will also join our meetup and will listen how do we develop code. Andrew, I welcome you, and now you can proceed.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Andrew, and I write. I'm senior backend engineer at Percona, and I'm working. I work and write code for PMM, and especially I'm responsible for writing a code and implementing a DBS feature. And what we are going to do today, I will try to implement a new feature for the PMM and DBS, and we will talk about the architecture, the overall process, and how can someone set up a development environment, where to find the documentation, and all this stuff. And yeah, also we'll talk about more. I'll talk more about uh, the overall process and how it usually happens. So how how much time do you need to spend from uh, opening a pull request and shipping into the next release? Okay, I'll share my screen to this right now. So yeah, it looks good so far. Yeah, right. So we made couple of changes, and we moved almost everything that related to the PMM project, Percona Monitoring and Management project, to the github.com/percona/PMM repository. And yeah, once you open this page, you can find on the README the explanation what is a PMM, how can you use it. It also has a description about the architecture, what we have right now. And we have PMM client, PMM server, Percona platform, monitored systems, and it's more about database clusters, servers, so on and so forth. Here is the installation guide, and it's more about the end user, and how can someone use the latest release of Percona management solution. And there is a part about how to get involved, and yeah, we have a contribution guidelines, and it's a file located in the contributing MD. And yeah, here is a documentation how can someone set up a development environment and start contributing to the PMM. Yeah, since we moved almost everything to the PMM repo, we have some DBS API project that's actually not part of the PMM project right now. And also we have Canopy, which stands for Query Analytics, and we have a DBS controller, which is actually part of Percona platform. And yeah, the documentation tells almost everything that we use in PMM. Like we have a PMM agent, we have PMM admin tool, we have a bunch of exporters, and we also use some tools for building and packaging and all this stuff. What else? So yeah, some guidelines how to submit a bug, and we for PMM we mostly use Jira for as our task tracker, and yeah, the documentation tells everything about what you need to know, and also how to create a feature build. And yeah, we will cover it later. And yeah, so yeah, how to set up a development environment. So yeah, you need to clone the repository and run this command. And let's take a look at the make file. What it does, so it runs docker compose up -d, and here is a container, so it pulls the latest dev container and runs it, and also you can find some couple of environment variables that we can override. But yeah, this regular docker compose file, and we use docker to run a PMM. And yeah, here we go. We have a PMM running on our local laptop, on local machine, and so we are able to log in. And what we are going to build today, so we are going to, okay, let's get familiar first with the DBS feature. And you need to enable it in the settings, and on the sidebar you will find this icon. And yeah, for that case we can register a new Kubernetes cluster and run databases. So let's do it. So it's gonna take a while to spin up a Kubernetes cluster on my laptop and to get a kubectl, but let's talk more about the feature we are going to build. So we have this Jira issue, and we need to add support of editing configuration of Percona XRDB cluster and Percona server for MongoDB for DBS. And yeah, at the moment we do not have this feature yet in the user interface, and also we do not have support of this parameter in our APIs. And yeah, let's take a look. Okay, still spinning up. Let's obtain a kubectl. Yeah, since it runs on Docker, so I usually override the host, but for most local setups or for when you run Docker in host mode, in network host mode, everything will be fine and you do not need to do any additional changes. So what is happening right now? So yeah, it actually installs Percona XDB cluster operator and also Percona server MongoDB operator, and also runs a VM agent inside of Kubernetes. And yeah, we can create a database right now. And for database, you can see a bunch of options. And let's just create a single node cluster for MySQL. And let's try to debug it a little bit. So yeah, here we have created a SQL cluster, and when we try to edit it, okay, we do not have this field here, but on the CR definition of operator, let's see. Yeah, here we go. We have a configuration field, and we can override MySQL configuration easily. And yeah, that's what we are going to do. And yeah, let's take a look what we have right now. So we have a dev container, and it contains some scripts to build a dev container. Admin folder contains the code for PMM admin command, agent for PMM agent, API tests. It stands by itself as tests for API. API contains definition and everything that we use in PMM to build APIs. We use gRPC, and also we use gRPC gateway to have both gRPC and REST endpoints in our projects. And yeah, as you can see here and open DevTools, you can find that it makes a bunch of HTTP requests to the PMM, and so for instance settings get to get user, to list Kubernetes clusters, check for update for operators, get some server info, and so on and so forth. And yeah, also we have bin folder that contains a bunch of binaries that we use in during the development. We have managed-d folder, and managed-d it's actually PMM managed-d service, and it's a backend for PMM, and it exposes REST and gRPC API. And we have a bunch of services, for instance, for DBS, for configuration management, some Grafana or inventory, API endpoints management, and to manage backup, alerting, DBS, and so on and so forth. And what else do we have here? Some third-party tools, and also we have tools that we folder that actually contains all tools and adds them as a dependencies for our development process. And yeah, we have a bunch of make files. And okay, so for DBS, so we need to go to manage the services, DBS, not DBS, management DBS, and here we can find a bunch of Go files. Kubernetes server actually implements gRPC server to edit, add, and manage Kubernetes cluster, and it stands for this tab in the user interface. And also, what do we have here? We have a DBS initializer that helps us to do uh, to manage the state in the settings. So once a user clicks on enable DBS flag in the settings, so it lands here on that structure. Yeah, and also we have Pixie cluster service and PSMDB cluster service. And yeah, we have a bunch of methods like to check if DBS feature is enabled, and yeah, we have API endpoints, implementation of API endpoints to create, edit, manage, and update PSMDB clusters. Okay, so since we do not have support from the PMM API, actually I made a couple of changes before our call. So yeah, to set up to install binaries that are used in the development process, there is a make init command, and as far as I know, yeah, here it is. So it installs everything that you need to. So it installs everything that you need, and yeah. So we have Pixie cluster params and also have PSMDB cluster params, and they are used almost everywhere. We so it contains the configuration for either Pixie or PSMDB cluster, and yeah, I added a configuration field here, and its index equals 4. And to generate everything that we need, we can run make gen, and it will generate some mocks, it generates some client code, also server code, and everything else that we need. On the other hand, we also have a DBS API, and DBS API actually it's a protocol to communicate with the DBS controller, and PMM communicates with the DBS controller using only gRPC, and we do not have we do not provide any REST endpoints for the DBS controller. Yeah, and also we need to add those fields to the DBS API. Okay. We have PSMDB cluster proto, and also we have controller PXE cluster proto. Yeah, in that case, what we have Pixie cluster params, we have Pixie configuration. So yeah, I added this field before our meetup. And yeah, the same command to run make gen to generate the interfaces and the codes that we need. And yeah. So before committing code to the repo, we need to check documentation, and we have a under docs process. We have a file git on github.md, and so commit rules. So we need to have a issue number and some short summary up to 50 characters, and maybe add some um, description also. And here we have a pull request rules that before merging to the main branch, we need to have two approvals, and also we need to pass the QA station. Our issue should have status ready for merge. Okay, so for the issue, everything is clear, and we can move to do. We can also start work, and let's create some range here. And we can so yeah, we can push it. And yeah, open a pull request, and yeah, for a backend, so it automatically adds reviewers that are code owners, but let's just create a pull request. We also can ask someone to review using this group. So code review backend. And it will assign someone automatically. Yeah, so we have a Shashank assigned as a reviewer here. And yeah, for a DBS API, we are good to go. So yeah, everything is more or less clear here. And yeah, let's start do the same for our PMM repo. So we are also good to push it, open a pull request, but in that case, yeah, as a recommendation for everyone, we can open a pull request early, and in that case, we need to update and add a issue number here, and for submodules, yeah, we will talk about it later. Yeah, we can create a pull request, and since it's not ready, we need to convert it to a draft. And yeah, once it will be ready, we will change the status for ready for review. But in that case, it tells for the whole team that something is going on, and right now I'm working on that issue. Okay. What else? We updated an DBS API. Yeah, and let's try to update it here. So yeah, since we have since we updated dependency, it also would be great to rerun a generation. To have new structures. Okay, we have also feature builds and feature builds located in Percona lab and submodules. And yeah, let's create a feature build. So yeah, we use PMM submodules and feature builds to run integration testing against PMM, since it has some modular structure, and you can find CI default file, and it will use everything that actually so from the main branch, but we can have add some dependencies here. So what we changed? We changed PMM and have this branch, and also yeah, we have a DBS controller here, and we do not update it yet, but let's set it as a dependency. We do not have a DBS API as a dependency, so this for the feature builds, but at the moment, yeah, the integration testing pipeline will update and will take the code and create a Docker image for server and build some binaries, some client packages, and also client Docker. Also, and yeah, it also run tests against this container and uses container to run some integration tests and to use the new pipeline. So yeah, we also let's just meet the changes. and we will not push it at the moment. On the other hand, we need, so since we updated the DBS API, we need to update in both places. We already made an update for a PMM, and everything actually works fine without any issues. And we also need to update the dependency here. And let's create the same branch. Let's also open a pull request, and so yeah, we also need to provide an issue number here, and we are good to also open a PR in and try to create a feature build here. Yeah, so same thing. We need to update the link here and add an issue number. And so since we do not add any changes to the PMM submodules, we have a general rule of thumb that all feature builds pull requests should be opened only in as a drafts. So okay, and as you can see, we have a pending pipeline here, and it runs on our Jenkins. And yeah, let's take a look. So if there is no
Andrey, why is loading? I have a question to you.
Okay.
For example, let's imagine I'm a community contributor and I will not have access to internal Jenkins. How I should proceed?
You should wait for the message from Jenkins. Yes, you can see here. Yeah, let's just open pull request. DBS controller. Yeah, here we go. You need to wait for this message, and if everything works fine and it builds, Jenkins will provide it for you. And
Okay,
also, yeah,
thanks. But I just want to check if this build will be available for download for community user.
yeah, I think.
Well, while you proceed, I will check and update everyone in comments if it works or not. And
Let's
thanks, Andrew,
just
for
let's
answering.
just let's
You are
let's
now
just try
logged.
to
You are now logged into this GitHub, and
on a GitHub, yes, but
on
is
PMM because access to Jenkins is done by GitHub.
yeah.
So
So
it will
for
work
for
only if you open it in incognito mode, for example.
yeah. So yeah. What else is missing here? Yeah, we have a pipeline. Whoa. Let's update the branch. we have a pipeline and we write some unit and a little bit of integration tests for both DBS controller and for PMM, and we run it using GitHub Actions, and that's a developer responsibility to fix those tests and to maintain the status and to write more unit tests and add it as a pipeline. And for a local environment, we have a let's take a look. We have, as far as I know, it's make test or something. Yeah, it's make and target test maybe. Yeah. It's latest. Okay. Test common API test. Test all. Maybe it's a part of dev container. So yeah, we use mostly make test, but so it's a bug for my local environment because I'm a Mac user and sometimes yeah, something is happening with a folder, and I usually just try to restart it and everything works fine again. Okay, so we updated API for DBS controller and also for PMM, and let's talk a little bit about DBS controller. So same thing, we have binaries and we can install those binaries by using the same command like make init to download and install all binaries that we need to have for DBS controller. For a folder, it's just some header file that we use in code generation. So for CMD, it stands for command, and yeah, the main Go file located in that folder. Yeah, under deploy, we have some bunch of files that we need to apply against Kubernetes cluster. So, for instance, here's a deployment for kube state metrics, and we embed this folder and using embedfs, and yeah, and it's actually contains in the binary. Binary. So yeah, we have some test files here to do some kind of API, if I'm not mistaken, API testing to test gRPC endpoints. And yeah, for a service, under service we have a cluster, and Kubernetes cluster stands for implementing an gRPC API for managing Kubernetes cluster, and have start monitoring, stop monitoring, and it installs or removes VM operator. And yeah, we have a kubeconfig endpoint that generates, that uses in cluster authentication and generates a kubeconfig once PMM is deployed on a Kubernetes cluster IP. So when a user clicks on enable DBS in that case, so it will add a Kubernetes cluster where PMM is deployed. automatically to the DBS feature. Also, we have some endpoints to list PSMDB cluster, create, update, delete, get credentials, restart PSMDB clusters, and the same thing we have for Pixie cluster. And yeah, let's take a look at the code here. And for PSMDB cluster, yeah, we have params here. And yeah, we just convert them from requests. And let's just extend PSMDB params with a configuration string. Okay. And yeah, so since we updated our API definitions, we have a configuration field defined under PSMDB cluster params as expected. And yeah, let's just try to do the same for Pixie cluster as well. Pixie params. And here we go. Yeah. Oh no, it's another Pixie. No. Okay, yeah, it's under params. Params, Pixie configuration. Yeah. Okay, and another thing. Answer Pixie, create Pixie. Yeah, we call create Pixie cluster, and here we do some secrets creation. Yeah. So we need to go here and get the default Pixie spec. Yeah, we have this field. And let's just try to override it for Pixie. Let's pick, and yeah, here is the configuration field. Okay, so let's try to build it. So I have a command deployed to PMM server for a DBAS controller, and yeah, so it basically builds binary and copies it to the PMM container and restarts the server service. Okay.
One question
And
from me, Andrey. You talked about directory structures, what we store in which directory, and so on. But as just a casual community user, how I can get this information? Is there any doc where I can read this or something like that?
So yeah, we have a contributing MD, and it contains a lot of information, but not about the overall structure because yeah, as far as I know, we do not have it. But the code is actually pretty straightforward, and yeah, after so reading a code base, you can just get it.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah, for not a DBS API, for not no, yeah, for a DBS controller, we have the same thing. We have a contributing MD, but it's more or less about the communication with the Kubernetes and some troubleshooting and so how to open a feature, how to use feature builds, some kind of rules, code reviews, all the stuff. So it's more or less like the same, but so here is you can start a mini cube and you can start a PMM with enabled DBS feature by default. Also, it contains some what prerequisites do you need to have before configuring before running the DBS feature. And yeah, it has some API description, high-level API description. Okay, so I think that let's just try to. Okay. We have. So yeah, it's compiled and running. And so. Okay, so let's take a look at our feature build. No. Okay. We need to. Okay, we updated it, but to trigger another build, we can run make trigger and just to push the changes. There you go. And yeah, it will trigger another feature, another pipeline. Yeah, so it runs. So yeah, what else do you need to know? So as a community contributor, so what actually can provide a feedback about your code and everything else. It's a pipeline status here, not here, and not here, and also not here. And that's submodulars. Okay. Yeah, so we have a GitHub Actions pipeline, and it looks green, so it means that everything is okay. Since we do not provide any, so it's API changes, so we do not have any tests there yet. For the PMM, yeah, what can provide feedback for you is Kotkov report, and it should be green, and it should so so pull requests can't decrease the coverage, and so everything here also should be green. We run a lot of tests against different setups of MySQL, Mongo, Postgres, and we run tests against for an agent, for run some common tests for and common checks like to check the overall code quality, and also run API tests. And once you open a pull request, yeah, everything should be green. And let's take a look at the changes that we have here. So we do not have any logic here, but yeah, let's add some logic for the PMM managed services DBS. And let's add it for, oh, not here. Management DBS Pixie, and create Pixie cluster. Yeah, so runs and configuration runs. Create cluster request runs. Okay, here. So yeah, we proxied the field from the request to, and here we creating a request to the DBS API using DBS API. Yeah, here we run this method. Okay. Let's redeploy everything. Okay, let's make and up and let's run managed. So yeah, run managed actually does almost the same. It builds a PMM managed binary, deploys it to the container. No, actually it runs it under Docker container. But yeah, for the rest changes, So I need to redeploy our DBS controller. And let's so what do we need to do here? So we need to test it, and we need also to write some tests and uh, try to run some API, use some API endpoints here, like on the PMM readme.io. And for DB clusters, we can use, yeah. So let's take a look at Pixie cluster. Yeah. So we can use it, this endpoint as an example, and to uh, to post something on the PMM API, and yeah, we need to provide here for a Pixie configuration and to provide some MySQL configuration. So and maybe write some tests and wait for a feedback, wait for approval. But the overall process, so I think that it's covered on the detailed way. So I think that's all.
Thank you, Andrew. It was
Yeah.
really interesting and useful. I hope we will get even more contributions because, we are open source and we need more contributions. We want to
Yeah,
spread the word.
definitely.
Yeah, I don't see any questions in any chats for now, so I would say thanks a lot, Andrew, for your talk. And you know what?
Yeah.
My cat already grabbed another my laptop and tries to make contribution to PMM.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Andrew, and thanks to everyone who participated in our call. I think that everybody was able to find useful information for him. Thank you, guys, and
Yeah.
have a good
Yeah.
day. Bye.
Have a good day.